Hello everyone, welcome to Canteen Cup. My name is Scott, and today we are talking about me and COVID down by the schoolyard. As you can tell, my voice is still quite hoarse, and my wife and I have just went through an episode of COVID. I remained at home, and my wife had to be hospitalized. She's been there for about 6 days with probably viral pneumonia is what it came out of, but it's a product of COVID. So I wanted to talk about it from a first-hand experience about COVID, the differences kind of between what she and I did and what the possible outcome is. So this is not a video on theory about COVID. This is a video about my real-life reality experience with COVID. To start off with, I will tell you that at no time were my lungs congested. At no times was my nose congested. At no time did my oxygen levels dip below 94%. What had happened was probably about the third day of getting COVID, I contracted viral laryngitis. Of course, back then I didn't realize if it was viral laryngitis or bacterial laryngitis. So I went to the hospital and got tested for COVID, the flu, and strep. And I had COVID, but no flu and no strep. Now, while I was there, I did take an IV treatment, and it's called monoclonal, and that's MONOCONAL, monoclonal antibiotic IV treatment. And it's I guess it's still experimental. It's under emergency use. However, a very good friend of mine who is a doctor I respect said that this was good stuff. So while I was there, because of my age, I was able to take it. And it was like a little wonder drug. It started clearing me up that next day. I was in the ER till about 1 o'clock in the morning that night. So what had happened, we'll talk a little bit about that. For those of you that may follow my channel, we are not mask people. We were not mask people. And for the first 18 months of the pandemic, we did not wear a mask. And I still don't wear a mask because I don't believe that they are effective. However, what I believe is effective is washing your hands with hand sanitizer regularly and very frequently, keeping your hands out of your face, and practice social distancing. In other words, stay about 6 foot apart from people. And that worked for 18 months. I think what had happened is my wife went to visit her sister because she was having some issues and needed her help. And then while she was there, she probably kind of forgot some of the protocols, and that's how she contracted it. Anyhow, she brought it back, and then we got it. As far as other drugs besides that monoclonal stuff, most of what I was taking were over-counter drugs like NyQuil, Aleve, and Tylenol. And for a while, I was taking an expectorant/cough suppressant, because as a part of having the laryngitis, it does promote a very serious cough. And the laryngitis was bad enough to where I could hardly even swallow water. So that's kind of how it came into the house. Now, I want to talk about COVID a little bit, my experience, and that is the COVID itself, in my opinion, was not that bad. I think my symptoms from COVID were not that bad. However, and this seems to ring true, is that when you get COVID, it brings a friend. In my case, it brought tonsillitis. In my wife's case, it brought pneumonia. And her case is more severe than mine. I'm not really sure why that is, but I took more prophylactics, more preventive measures early on than she did, and that may have been a help. One of the things I was taking was a tincture made from sweet gum fruits. And the tincture was made with like 100 proof alcohol. And the reason why I was taking that is that the same acid that is found in the sweet gum fruits is also used to manufacture Tamiflu, which is an antiviral. Now, I started taking that pretty regularly, you could say almost religiously, when I started getting sick. And, you know, the control is I did, she didn't. I did not get near as sick. Of course, I was in the Army. I was in a Special Operations Unit. And I received vaccinations for worldwide deployment. I had so many vaccinations, they had to attach an addendum to my little yellow shot record because I had so many shots. And that may have played a factor. Some people say your blood type may play a factor. There's a lot of things for sure, but all I can tell you is what I did, and that mostly the drugs I were taking were over-the-counter drugs. I took throat lozenges, I took NyQuil, I took Aleve, I took Tylenol, I took like a Mucinex type thing, and that's it. And then, you know, as time wore on, it wore out, you know. And so I really wanted to take a couple minutes and talk about my experience with COVID. And yeah, it was not fun, but it didn't last long. I'd say by about day 5, most of my symptoms were gone. And again, I was measuring my oxygen probably 3 times a day, and it never went below 94%. And so I think the takeaways from this are, you know, be careful with it. Take prophylaxis. Oh, by the way, I did take zinc and vitamin D and a multivitamin every day. My multivitamin has vitamin C, which is the other thing you're supposed to take. And so take your prophylaxis, not prophylactic, but prophylaxis. And be careful. Now, one more caveat about this is when my wife was in the hospital, I stayed home with my special needs daughter while I had the disease, while I had COVID. And because we practiced good protocols, mainly staying away from each other, or me staying away from her, she didn't get it. She escaped completely. So, is it hyper contagious? I don't know. We lived in the same house. I'll say we were in close proximity of each other, but the rooms in our house are very big and there's a lot of volume of air. And like I said, I stayed away from her. And I will tell you that if I got within about 3 foot of her, I did put on a mask. I don't now, but I did then. You know, just as a precaution for her, because you really don't want a special needs person getting COVID, because they really don't cope with it very well. So anyhow, that's all I got. And you all be careful out there. I mean, you know, the only thing I can tell you about COVID is do your research. And don't get your research off of CNN. Don't get it off of MSNBC. Don't even get it off of Fox or whatever. I said places I was going to were places like the CDC, Harvard Medical, Johns Hopkins University, some European universities. And I was reading their papers, maybe not the whole paper, but at least the abstract. And that's where I'm getting my information from. And then also, the one last thing I want to say is that I just finished reading a paper where natural immunity is actually stronger than a vaccine. And the reason they give is when you are exposed to COVID and you go through the episode of having COVID, you are building up antibodies, your defensive mechanism in your body for the whole virus, versus that vaccine is only protecting you against that little spiky protein. So they are now finding out that if you have a natural immunity, that it is probably stronger and lasts longer. And that's from a paper I read. I'm not making that up. So that's all I got for everybody. Stay safe out there. You know, if you haven't got it, you know, zinc, vitamin D, vitamin C every day. You know, if things get bad, take care of it. So everybody stay safe, stay secure. We'll see you.